Hello, my name is Alicia Shapiro with AInews.com, and welcome to another episode of our Driving Tomorrow Conversations with Industry Leaders. Today, we're taking a closer look at America's aging infrastructure and the role technology, including how artificial intelligence and cybersecurity, could play in strengthening it. Following the recent communications and radar failures at Newark Airport, serious concerns have been raised about the resilience of our transportation systems. In this interview, we first speak with Congressman Jimmy Patronis, a member of the U.S. House Transportation and Infrastructure Committee, to explore the lessons learned and how leadership at the national level can drive critical modernization efforts. Then we sit down with cybersecurity and AI leader Arnie Bellini, the former CEO of ConnectWise and founder of Bellini Capital, to dive deeper into how artificial intelligence and cybersecurity innovations could protect critical infrastructure moving forward. Let's start the conversation with Congressman Patronis. Hello, Congressman. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me today. I truly appreciate the opportunity to hear your insights on these important issues. So thanks for joining us.
Of course, thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'd love to explore how AI could help modernize and strengthen our nation's critical infrastructure, especially in the light of the recent aviation challenges. And I understand we have about 15 minutes, so I'll just get started. The recent communications and radar failures at Newark highlighted how vulnerable parts of our aviation infrastructure have truly become. What lessons should we take from this incident about how we can modernize emergency response systems, and how might technologies like AI play a role in helping air traffic controllers manage these challenges more safely and efficiently?
Sure, I've built airports, I've managed airports, I've overseen them, and I understand that we have got an infrastructure that over time, it just you got to make the investments.
Yeah.
One of the challenges that is with this, when you look at the federal dollar that is going to be used towards that, those same federal dollars, there's hospitals clamoring that they want the dollars. There's education institutions that are clamoring they want those dollars. There's research that wants those dollars. Trying to have an emotional tie to improving and making that investment in our air traffic control system, it's hard to find a sympathetic constituency to make the advocacy for it. Unfortunately, when you have incidents that have happened at Washington Reagan Airport, with the incidents we've seen at Newark, it's a wake-up call. It is a wake-up call that unfortunately we've had a terrible lesson that we've learned from it. Now is the time that we take this, make the commitment, and it's not going to happen overnight. We're taking DOS-based computer operating systems, and now we're taking them into the 21st century. So there's going to be a learning curve. We're going to have to, unfortunately, probably have to pay the best and brightest, because you'll have that recruitment that's going to take place. And a number of people that work in that profession are going to say, you know what, I don't want to transition to the new software. I'm just going to go ahead and retire. So it is a daunting task, but we have no choice but to make that commitment.
Exactly. And many industries now use AI to monitor critical infrastructure and predict failures maybe before they even happen. Do you think AI-driven predictive maintenance tools could help prevent future aviation disruptions like we saw at Newark by identifying the problems with communication lines, the radar systems, or even by automatically initiating backup networks before a failure occurs?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, you're going to have the data to reflect on. And as you start leveraging sensor technology to look for the norms, you're going to be able to have systems that will almost run by themselves because of how the future of AI is so bright.
Mhm.
And the upside to it is it's going to be more accurate than any human. So yeah, we're going to have to embrace it. And I truly think that the safety that we're going to be able to achieve, the consistency, the reliability is going to be like nothing we've ever seen. You know, and literally, where we would sometimes over engineer a project in order to make sure stability and consistency and reliability, you will literally be able to save costs because AI will be able to monitor the stress levels of our infrastructure in ways they've never been managed ever before.
Mhm. That is an exciting time to think about.
Yeah.
Yeah. And with staffing shortages and aging systems putting additional pressure on human air traffic controllers, Some countries are maybe even exploring AI tools to assist decision making during these high pressure situations, maybe helping with tasks like routine optimization and early warning prioritization and emergency management. How do you see AI supporting human controllers in the US to make faster, safer decisions and potentially helping reduce some of the workload and stress that contributes to these staffing challenges?
So some of the scary parts about AI is AI only can work with the information that is in the global universe. So that does not mean we need to rest on our laurels. We're going to still have to constantly challenge the best and brightest for innovations that AI then can continue to grow, expand, and we will see at some point, maybe not my lifetime, but we will see what AI will evolve and it'll self evolve. And that's a little bit of a concerning sight because of what movies have done to our psyche
Yeah.
regarding where AI can go. But I think it's part of the reality that we're going to grow into. Man is always going to have significant oversight over AI. But at the end of the day, AI is going to make man more efficient than they ever would have dreamed possible.
Yes, I agree. It's good to keep that human in the loop, as they say.
Yeah,
Congressman, thank you so much for taking the time to share your insights with us today. I really appreciate your leadership on these important infrastructure and modernization efforts, and I'd love to follow up with you in the future as these developments move forward.
that'd be great. Thanks so much for having me.
Awesome. Thank you. I appreciate your time.
Bye bye.
Bye. To explore the cybersecurity and artificial intelligence innovations that could help strengthen America's critical infrastructure, we next speak with Arnie Bellini, a leading voice in AI driven cybersecurity strategy and the founder of Bellini Capital, as he shares how innovation can help protect critical systems moving forward. Here's our conversation with Arnie Bellini. Hello, Arnie. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me today. I'm really looking forward to our conversation about how AI and cybersecurity can hopefully secure our infrastructures, critical infrastructure moving forward.
You are dead on, and I am excited to talk about that.
I'd like to explore how emerging technologies like AI and cybersecurity not only can strengthen the critical infrastructure, but particularly in the light of the recent aviation challenges at Newark Airport. From your cybersecurity and AI perspective, what lessons should be taken from this incident? How urgent is it that we address these weaknesses?
Let's talk about the Newark Airport issue. The main issue there wasn't that there was just a single air traffic controller or even several. There could have been 500. A piece of copper wire finally failed,
Yeah.
probably needed to be replaced 20 years ago. And if the radar goes down as it did, then I don't care how many air traffic controllers you have. So let's just call it what it is. It's a maintenance issue. All right. Now, that being said, okay, should there have been proper maintenance? You can discuss all of that, but let's just move from here forward. Obviously, it's old infrastructure, and that's the tale of a lot of our infrastructure in the United States these days. We need to be replacing it, including that piece of copper or that connection from the air traffic controller tower to the radar tower needs to be revamped, right? As we replace our infrastructure, it should be and probably will be all AI enabled. And what do I mean by that? For instance, in this case, there should be a constant, even before AI, by the way, just replacing it with intelligence built into the network could check that cable connection every single heartbeat of every day. And obviously, it should be fiber, it shouldn't be copper. And then obviously, there should be proper maintenance cycles so that you're verifying it. But the good news with where we're heading with replacing our infrastructure is we can build a lot of the self diagnosis into the system. And then from there, you can have it feeding a database that then is reviewed by AI and looking for patterns that could create disruptions and even proactively looking at that. So, in the example of Newark Airport, it would be great. I've got a device on there that's pinging back and forth from tower to tower, and it sees that the signal is being degraded. I'm going to do something about that. But I'm only going to do that if it's outside of a range of tolerance. That's where AI is really good. It'll figure out what that appropriate range is before failure would happen, and it will alert at the appropriate time. So that would be an example of how you could redo infrastructure and then use AI to make sure that it stays in place very well.
And that kind of leads me to my next question. There are many industries that are now using AI and predictive analytics to monitor and maintain the infrastructure to predict failures before they happen, just like you were talking about. How close are we to implementing those kind of solutions widely, do you think?
We're doing it. It's happening as we speak, right? So the issue becomes a budget issue, really. With each asset, the owners of those assets have to have the funds to be able to replace it and re-engineer these things. And I think that's the holdup, really. All of the modern equipment that we will use to replace it will be very beneficial. And I'll just make this point. I hope it's better than the automation that they're putting in toasters and refrigerators and pool pumps, because they've made those more complicated and probably break down more. We're probably just in the early stages of really putting intelligence and into these Internet of Things that are connected to the internet. We need to get smarter with that. We're just in like version 1, version 2 of that. Oh, by the way, going back to Newark, it's like, I understand they're still operating on the DOS operating system. So we can switch over to cyber at some point here, but it's like that operating system that they're using would be the bigger sin that I saw. It wasn't the lack of maintenance, and it wasn't how many air traffic controllers they had. It's the fact that they're running everything on DOS. So I can guarantee that bad state actors would love nothing more than to hack into that. And they've made it very easy to do with DOS. So I'd say that's the biggest problem that I saw at Newark Airport.
You're right. When infrastructures do fail like they did at Newark, the human operators, the air traffic controllers, are under immense pressure to respond quickly and safely. How can AI tools such as routing optimization or early warning alerts and emergency management systems be used to support the human decision making during these high stress situations and potentially reduce risks for both workers and passengers?
Everything comes down to getting the appropriate data feeds into a central database that AI can look at. Once you get it there, and that's what I'm saying, as we retool our infrastructure, we will be putting it in with devices that actually are monitoring in real time, reporting back to a central database. But you don't have just one sensor. You've got the sensor, in the example of Newark, we go back to that. You'd have the sensor in the radar tower, which is separate from the air traffic controller tower, usually across the runway. And so you would have something that would be feeding, is this signal strong enough? Is this signal good? That data would be constantly fed, as well as other data all along the way of the entire system into one spot. And then AI can very easily analyze that and look for patterns that indicate, hey, everything's A-OK, and patterns that indicate, hey, something miserably bad is getting ready to happen or has happened, right? Yeah. I think the real fun part will be, we'll get there very quickly. I think the fun part will be then training AI to recover and then putting the additional redundancy into the system so that AI can automatically fail-safe over. There's plenty of fail-safe over systems, like in the case of Newark, again, we'll go back to that. You would have 2 cables that would go between the 2 towers, not just one. And when one fails, you automatically switch over to the other. But again, as systems get bigger and more is connected to a process, that's just one part of the process of identifying whether a plane is going to intersect with another plane. That's just one piece. And as you add more and more layers to the process in order to have success, that's where AI can really help, because it can be looking at all of that, identify the patterns, guide us, and we can train it to do a really good job. I don't think you ever want to replace an air traffic controller. You want that human there for sure, but it can just really help them. Okay, how about this? It'll allow one air traffic controller to do the job of 20, right? We'll put AI in, except that AI is not the panacea for everything. You first have to have the data feeds handing it the data, right? How these things work, which is interesting, right? Large language models just look at a whole large amount of data, right? And then identify patterns in it. So the basis for its intelligence is the patterns that it identifies in the data, but the raw materials it needs is the data. So in the case of Newark, we don't have anything feeding anything. We've got a copper wire connecting 2 towers, but we may have some signal strength built on there, but we don't have anything that could fail safe over, perhaps. And obviously, because it didn't fail safe over. So I think the key is you've got to get devices along the way that are monitoring things and then feeding that data to a central location. Then we are in a position to let AI do just about everything, quite honestly, including being a great leverage point for that air traffic controller.
Yeah, I agree. What role should private sector innovators like yourself play along government agencies in strengthening the America's digital defenses? Are we moving fast enough? Are there obstacles slowing down the effective collaboration? What is your take on that?
My take on that is, thank God, President Trump just signed an order saying like he wants all government to go full steam use and implementation of AI throughout the federal government, right? So that's cascading down to all the agencies as well. And so it is a mandate. we're getting started on it now. And this is the right time to do it. And let's face it, AI, first of all, no one knows exactly how it works. And no one wants to talk about that. But if you tell me someone that can look under the hood and tell you how it's working, the answer is they really cannot. So we're getting ready to unleash for the first time ever, we're getting ready to unleash technology that we don't know how it works. All technology we've released into the world previously, we've known how it works. We can stop it if we want to. We know how it works, and therefore we know how to stop it, right? AI, not the case with AI, right? So very interesting and tricky, thorny problem that we're going to be facing real quick here in the near term future as we implement AI throughout the entire economy, which is a good thing. I guess we'll run into the roadblocks and the problems as we go, and it'll either be utopic or dystopic. And I'm betting on utopic.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for. You recently donated $40 million to launch a college dedicated to cybersecurity and AI integration, which is an incredible investment. Why is it so critical to develop the next generation of AI and cyber talent? And how big of a gap are we facing today?
There are, according to the FBI, there are 700,000 open positions for cybersecurity professionals in the United States that are going unfulfilled. I think that number is way closer to a million, and the number globally is 4.8 million. So lots of jobs, right? What are we looking for? We're looking to give that next generation opportunity. So that's what I'm really busy doing. I'm saying, great, there's a million jobs there. And by the way, there will always be jobs there. It's the new great field for students to go into in college. You want to figure out, look, I'd get a degree in cybersecurity or AI before I get a degree in psychology, right?
Yes.
Nothing against that college, but it's like we've got to be focused in the United States. We really need to be focused and leaning forward in the highly technical areas. Everyone's worried about China catching up with us. It's like, well, yeah, if we don't graduate our own students from our own nation state with these degrees, instead of having Chinese nationals graduating with these degrees and going back to China, and their government's going to leverage it against us. That's just the way it is. Number two always tries harder, right? You remember the old Avis commercial. It's like China's number two. They're trying really hard to overtake us, right? And lying, cheating, and stealing all along the way. Sorry, that's the Chinese Communist Party. That's the way they operate. Chinese people, wonderful. Wish we could work more with them, but because of their government, we're not really able to. And that's the real thing that I think that we're seeing right now is we have to grab the lead and maintain the lead in artificial intelligence. And that's why my wife, Lorna, and I made the donation of 40 million. We also have another 10 million that we're putting up to attract the best and the brightest to the new Bellini College of Artificial Intelligence, Cybersecurity, and Computing at the University of South Florida. We're very excited about that. And so think about this world where if the United States really, capitalizes on AI technology that's being created here, AI chips that are being designed and hopefully soon created here, okay? It's our stuff. It's our innovation. Let's leverage it for our economy first. And let's make sure that we don't just close our physical borders, but we close our digital borders because those are being overrun every nanosecond of every day, which brings in cybersecurity. It's like we're going to build an amazing economy with artificial intelligence in the United States. And then if we can put a digital wall around it so it doesn't leak out, so it doesn't get stolen, so it doesn't get usurped or broken into, then we've basically put the United States in a position to dominate geopolitical economy and politics for the next 200 years minimum. And some say forever, because artificial intelligence is the last real technology that will catapult any organization or nation state beyond others to the point where you're always going to be smarter. Think about it. You're always going to be smarter.
And finally, looking to the future with cybersecurity and artificial intelligence, what is something you'd like people to know about the future, about how it could be integrated into our infrastructure, about just anything in general? What's a takeaway you'd like to leave with people?
Sure. The future is now.
Yeah.
This is not the future. We are there. Okay. Artificial intelligence will be smarter than a human within 12 months. That's my prediction. Okay. Everyone's trying to push it out, and all those who actually have investments in AI are forcibly pushing it out because it's a scary thought. Because once it's as smart as us, it's the next month, it's way smarter than us. And the next year, it's like infinitely smarter than us. So, we're getting to that point where I don't know. If you think about it, and then we're going to be downloading this intelligence into robots that are going to be walking amongst us. It's like this is where we're headed. And the Optimus robot is coming out for $30,000 at the end of this year. Okay. We're talking 2026. It's going to be a different world. So the future is now. We have to pay attention to cybersecurity. It is a national security issue. I was actually in Congressman Jimmy Patronis' office last week pitching this is a national security issue. Okay. It's actually perhaps, in my opinion, a national emergency that we actually start defending and protecting and guarding our digital borders in the United States. And so that's what I have made major investments in businesses to solve the problem of why is cybersecurity not ubiquitous, right? It needs to be ubiquitous. So the future is now. Cybersecurity needs to be ubiquitous, and we need to own the lead in AI. And if we do those three things, pay attention to those three things, we'll be good.
Arnie, thank you again for sharing your insights and joining us today. I really appreciate your perspective and leadership in advancing the cybersecurity and AI innovation to strengthen our infrastructure and society in general. So thank you again.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to talk about it.
Yes, thank you. Today's conversations remind us that building a safer, more resilient future will require both leadership and innovation, and that emerging technologies like AI and cybersecurity will play a growing role in that transformation. The actions we take today, from investing in modernization to strengthening our digital defenses, will help prevent future disruptions and build a stronger, safer tomorrow. Keeping you connected to tomorrow. Today, this is Alicia with AInews.com.